What's up, everyone? Jake Blaine here with Apocalypse Movies, and we are here to do the Padawan podcast, our all Star Wars podcast, where we geek out on everything from the galaxy far, far away. I am Jake Blaine, aka Qui-Gon Jake, and I am joined today by Grand Moff Bartley himself, Jacob Bartley. How you doing, man?
How's it going? I'm pretty good. I'm really excited to talk about Padawan. It's been a while. I think it's been about a month or so, but we're all busy. But we're going to keep it consistent coming with the Padawan podcast because we know you guys love it.
Yeah, no, Star Wars is kind of the thing right now. Obviously, The Last Jedi is coming very, very soon. There's all kinds of content coming out, books, comics. Rebels is coming back very soon. But we're going to jump into, Jacob here with Force Friday. He was able to go after Force Friday last week, get some new toys, get the experience in. So just kind of talk about the experience with the Star Wars fans, what you got, what you wanted to get that you maybe didn't get. Just kind of, talk about it a little bit.
I was telling you, I'm never going to do this again, but I went to Toys R Us at about like 10:15, 10:30, and I was so tired. I had a long day. I worked, I did homework, and then I went to Dave & Buster's, and then I went to Toys R Us. I was exhausted, but I had to do it. And I was like almost falling asleep in line.
That was the day you did the Star Wars ride, right? At Dave & Buster's. The game,
exactly.
the game.
Yeah.
Okay,
And Toys R Us is right down the street from the one where we live, and as soon as I got in line, everybody started talking Star Wars. Like me and the four people in front of me, we started talking about the audio books, about the Force Awakens, about The Last Jedi, about all this different canon stuff. And to my surprise, they all have read all the audiobooks too. So it was like
there's a lot of us out
talking.
there.
Exactly. I was surprised because I was like, oh, there's probably like 5 people in line. When I showed up, there was like 30 people in line, and then by the time the doors opened, it was about 70 people in line.
You waited about an hour and a half?
I waited an hour and a half. So it's funny because I was dead tired, like almost, if I was sitting down, I would have fell asleep. But 20 minutes before the doors opened, all of a sudden, I was not tired anymore at all, and I was excited.
Excitement.
But I just wanted to go for the experience, and Toys R Us was giving a free t-shirt, not this one, but a different one, like a pop figure one.
I saw that.
And then they gave also a free poster, and I just wanted to get a couple things. I like the little 3 3/4 inch figures, the smaller ones. So I got a Luke one and a Kylo one unmasked, and I ended up getting a Rey one on a different day. So I just wanted a couple of those, and I got a Luke one. There wasn't that many of them, and some guy that was like in front of me was like going through and picking them all out. I kind of had to like push my way in there and just grab a Luke one, grab a Kylo, and then.
Was anybody sprinting around?
Yes, including myself, because. So everybody wanted the Black Series ones.
Yes, the expensive ones.
Yeah, they're like $20. And I was like, I don't want to end up spending $100, so I just went straight to the aisle. I sprinted towards the aisle because everybody lined up in the line to get the Black Series because they only had like 18 of them, and they were like one per person. So it was a fun experience, very hectic.
It's like Black Friday for Star Wars
Exactly,
fans.
which is even more hectic. It was fun, and I'm glad I did it, but I probably will never do it again.
I've always wanted to experience it, but I know what Black Friday looks like.
Exactly.
Both as a customer and a worker.
Oh, okay.
And I know what Force Friday could be like, especially if you're in a bigger city. Luckily, we're not in a huge city.
For the most part, everyone was respectful, but it's just like people weren't giving other people a chance to grab stuff.
I'm surprised that Toys R Us is the kind of place to go for that.
Yeah, well,
I figured it would have been like Target or something.
Well, Target was doing it too.
Okay.
Target and Toys R Us were doing it. Not Walmart or anything like that, but I did go to Walmart the next day. That's where I got my Rey. Walmart actually has a lot of Black Series left. What I wanted to get, I went to Walmart yesterday. I bought the Thrawn Black Series.
I saw that.
It was $20, but I was like, because the people I was in line with at Force Friday, they were like, "There's a Thrawn Black Series."
And so it must have been like
goodness.
a special one.
And there was like 20 Black Series at Walmart. In the very back, one Thrawn. I was like, I'm just gonna buy it. I guarantee you, in a year, it's gonna be worth more money. But I wanted to buy the Luke and Rey Black Series so bad. But anyways, that was my experience of Force Friday, not Black Friday.
Yeah,
it was fun.
No, that sounds very, very fun. Yeah. So let's go ahead and move on. We're gonna jump into some comments that actually dropped today. Empire Magazine has pretty much released their spread of The Last Jedi. They're gonna be spreading it out over the next week or so. And today brought comments from director Rian Johnson. First, in the interview, he talked about Snoke, in which he said the following. We got the whole story of Palpatine's rise to power in the prequels, but in the original films, he's exactly what he needs to be, which is just the Emperor. Johnson tells Empire in the new October issue. He's a dark force, the scary thing behind the thing. That was entirely how I approached Snoke. I wasn't interested in explaining where he came from or telling his story, except where it serves this story. So pretty much what he is saying is that The Last Jedi will not go into detail of where Snoke is from. Really, we'll probably find out who he is, but we won't know his origins really until episode 9, which will be directed by Colin Trevorrow. And he clearly says, look, this is my movie. This is my one and only movie. I'm not going to be telling Snoke's story in this one. And it kind of makes us thinking that maybe this movie is going to heavily focus on Rey and her backstory. So what do you think about the comparison to the Emperor and then the revelations that we won't in fact know the origins of Snoke in this film?
I think it makes perfect sense, because if you look at Empire Strikes Back, you only really see
the first time we meet him
in a hologram form.
Yep.
So you can kind of relate that to The Force Awakens, where we see Snoke in a hologram form. They're kind of getting a little bit ahead of the original trilogy. So I think we're going to see Snoke as much as we saw the Emperor in Return of the Jedi, where we get to see him talk, and we get to see his personality and
interactions
how he is,
with Kylo Ren,
but not his full backstory, which I don't need a full backstory for everybody.
No, I'm the same way.
I don't even want a flashback of Snoke and where he came from. I want to know a little bit of information, because there is something to say, like, all right, if he's a strong Force user, if he's a Sith Lord or whatever he is, a Dark Force user, where was he? Where has he been? That's all I want to know. If they explain it to where, people of the Force Order found him in wild space, that's all I need to know. I don't need to know anything else. I don't need to know what planet he's from, how he grew up. I just want to know where he's been and where he came from. That's all I want to know. So I love this information, actually, and we do need to focus more on Rey.
I agree.
This is Rey's story.
Yep.
We learned a lot about Kylo. We know who Kylo is. We know where he came from. We know who his parents are. I think we know as much as we need to know about Kylo.
Except for the one moment that he turned.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
and
what
we'll
we
probably
do need to
get
know.
That.
But we know more about Kylo than we know about Rey. And so I think this movie needs to be about Luke and Rey. I think we're going to get heavy emphasis on Luke and where he's been, and then learn more about Rey, her parentage, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that The Last Jedi, there's 3 main characters. There's Luke, Rey, and Kylo. I think those 3 are kind of going to be heading it. The 3-headed dragon, if you will say. But no, I completely agree with you. I think that his story doesn't need to be fleshed out like others. I love the mystery behind it.
Yeah,
not knowing really who he is completely. And I also wouldn't knock the idea of maybe his story being fleshed out in some kind of novel form.
Yeah, that could work. I wouldn't mind that, honestly.
Even though a lot of people would never see that because they don't read the Star Wars canon books like we do, I wouldn't mind seeing that almost like a Rogue One prequel novel.
Yeah, Catalyst.
Catalyst, that's what it was.
Because it made the movie so much better.
For us who read it.
Exactly.
And maybe people are going to knock it, oh, well, we didn't get to hear his story. Go read the book, because it gives an entire book on who he is, where he came from. So that's always an option. I think that maybe episode 9 will flesh it out a little bit more. I think he'll end up being a big character later on in the story, but right now a supporting character is just good enough to kind of up the ante a little bit, much more evil form out there than just Kylo. Where has Kylo been this entire time when he went to go to the dark side? Who has he been training with? How is he being trained by Snoke? How involved is Snoke with the First Order? Because it kind of seemed like Kylo and Hux were kind of running it in a first way in the Force Awakens, but we'll see how much it kind of fleshes out. I just hope it's a little bit more than the Emperor in The Empire Strikes Back. Obviously, I think it'll be that much because he's kind of been featured in the marketing a lot.
Yeah,
and with toys and posters and images and whatnot, we're getting a lot more of him as the movie gets closer. So
for sure,
yeah, it'll be very, very interesting going forward.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, in the same interview that Rian Johnson had with Empire, he also got on the topic of Kylo Ren, where he revealed some very interesting comments about the old Ben Solo, and he said the following: "Writing Kylo Ren is just so much fun," says Johnson. "Star Wars boils down to the transition from adolescence into adulthood. That's the heart of these films, and Rey is most obviously that one that hangs on. But it's also Kylo. In the originals, you project entirely onto Luke, while Vader is the scary other. He's the the Minotaur. The fascinating thing about Kylo and Rey is that they're 2 sides of something. We can all relate to Kylo, to that anger of being in the turmoil of adolescence and figuring out who he's going to be as a man, dealing with the anger and wanting to separate from his family. He's not Vader, at least he's not Vader yet. And that's something I really wanted to get into." Very, very interesting comments.
Definitely.
We've all kind of, pondered the fact that maybe Kylo one day could be a little bit darker than Vader. Obviously, the theories of him turning good at some point are also out there as well. But from these comments, I kind of get the idea that they're trying to go as dark as they possibly can with this character.
Maybe.
And I am definitely not against that. So I think that it's very interesting going forward. We're going to get a lot more of Kylo Ren in this film, of him with the dark side. I think we may actually see the dark side trainees training for the first time, of how they train in the dark side, how it's different from the Jedi. But I know we talked before, and you actually like these comments a lot more than the Snoke ones. So what is it about these comments that kind of just like gets you really excited about this?
Well, first of all, I can't decide whether Kylo or Rey are my favorite characters. New characters.
They're both really good.
Like, I go back and forth.
Yeah.
But I think it's Kylo because he has so much depth. I love Rey. I love her personality. I think we're going to flesh her out a lot more over these next 2 movies, and then we'll find out who I like better. But as of right now, Kylo Ren has so much depth to his character. Like,
we already know so
never
much.
seen a character struggle so much between the light and the dark. Like, of course, you know, Luke tampered with the dark a little bit. Vader tampered with the dark and the light. Obviously, eventually came back. But at the same time, Kylo has done the worst thing to us as fans, is killing Han Solo. It's like, look,
he's irredeemable.
When Vader killed Obi-Wan let him kill him, and so he could turn into a Force Ghost. We didn't know Obi-Wan. Watching that movie for the first time, for people who only saw the original trilogy,
he was just
first,
an old man guiding him.
If you watch the prequels, then it means a little bit more. But it was just an old man. You had not much attachment to him. We're all attached to Han Solo as Star Wars fans. So he did one of the worst things you could possibly do in killing one of the best and most beloved characters in the universe. So it's like, how worse can it go? Like, and we know he said he's struggling with the light. You can tell he kind of didn't want to do it at the time. Is seeing his mom gonna, you know, make him want to go back to the light even more? I don't know, but it's just so interesting, and I think Rian Johnson's the perfect guy to tell this story.
Yeah, it's gonna be I didn't even think about it, but the interaction between Kylo and Princess Leia, or General Leia, I should say.
I hope there's one.
Same.
There has to be.
I think that's gonna be so impactful, especially after the fact that he killed Han Solo, obviously. And then I don't know if it'll happen, but the eventual interaction between him and Luke as well.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Like, what is Luke gonna say? Like you son of a bitch, you killed Han Solo, and just go straight after him. Like,
and the fact
Luke's
they turned on him,
pissed.
and just like, there's so many elements to think about with Kylo, because he turned on his dad, killed him. Turned on his mom, hasn't seen her.
Yeah.
Turned on his uncle who was training him, haven't seen him. Like, there's so many things going on in this family dynamic, and it's so exciting to think about.
Oh yeah,
going
for
forward.
sure.
So
I can't wait.
I hope that The Last Jedi kind of mentions it all, or displays it all, because we know that it is Carrie Fisher's last film. I will be super bummed if they don't show a scene between them two. I know you will be as well.
Definitely, yeah.
But we'll see what happens come December. So before all these comments came out with Empire Magazine, they actually released 2 official covers for the film on the magazine. The first one was a bit of a tease. It was Rey's hand handing the lightsaber to Luke's robotic hand, which was very, very cool. And the most recent one was actually Luke and Rey on the cover. Rey in her normal Jedi stance with the lightsaber, Luke standing over her shoulder kind of looking. But the tagline is what we got interested in, and it says, "There is another." And it could mean a million things.
Yes.
We've heard it in Star Wars before, obviously in The Empire Strikes Back when Luke leaves Dagobah. And Obi-Wan says, "He is our last hope." Yoda says, "No, there is another." At that time, we all thought it meant Leia, because we knew who Leia was at that point. We learned who she was. But could it possibly mean someone else in this instance?
Yeah, who
Are they playing with the Star Wars mythology a little bit and playing a trick on us? I think you may be on that side of thinking that they may be playing with us a little bit.
I think so. First of all, the covers are amazing.
Yes.
I love how Rey's holding a lightsaber and Luke's not.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope that's not foreshadowing too much what the movie's gonna be like. I think we're definitely gonna see Luke light
That
up
green
a
lightsaber is going to light up at some point, yeah.
For sure. But I mean, it's kind of cool because they're saving it for the movie, you know. And then I love the one of her handing it to him. The thing is, we see her with that blue lightsaber. In the toys, she has the blue lightsaber. And when she's running in the movie, she has a blue lightsaber. So, Luke, she's going to hand it to Luke, and Luke's going to say, "No, this is yours. Look, I got a green one." So,
well, if I remember correctly, a few weeks ago or months ago, they officially announced it as Rey's lightsaber.
did they?
I think they finally named it Rey's lightsaber.
That's so crazy because that's Anakin's lightsaber.
Then Luke, then now Rey.
And Kylo wants that. You know, Kylo wants that
dude.
lightsaber. Even in Force Awakens, that's mine. He's so pissed. He wants it back.
That's going to be crazy.
And, you know, Masinata says, now it calls to you. Like, why does this lightsaber
She
call
was
to
destined
her?
to have that lightsaber.
and to think about it, like Obi-Wan had that lightsaber for a long time, and we know, like, with the Force, objects can mean a lot to people and stuff like that. So
especially when they're passed down.
Exactly. So maybe, like, I think she's related to Obi-Wan, and I hope. So maybe that's why it has such a strong connection to her, because he had it for so long. Whatever happened to Obi-Wan's lightsaber when Vader cut him down? Do we even know that?
It was in his robes, and then we never saw it again.
That's interesting. Yeah, so that's really cool. But there is another. All right, so the obvious answer is Leia. But do you think they would have Luke and Rey on the cover and put that line if it's Leia?
And now that we know that Leia's not going to be using her Force abilities per se, like Luke.
So there's a couple options. There's Yoda saw so far into the future and saw either Rey or Kylo as being the other to bring balance to the Force.
Which we've never seen before.
Which could... Yoda was very powerful, so it's very possible. So it could be Rey in that sense. And the balance is a major theme going on right now, and we see her touch the books and say, or show the books and say the balance. So maybe it's her, or it's a random character that we haven't seen yet, or it's somebody coming back like a Kanan or Ezra, because we know it's possible, unless they die in Star Wars Rebels, that Kanan or Ezra live past Star Wars Rebels and are around somewhere in the galaxy.
There's so
somewhere.
Many. Jesus.
And I know you said that. Did Pablo Hidalgo confirm that DJ is not Ezra?
He confirmed that
100%.
Del Toro's character is not Ezra.
Man,
doesn't mean it can't be Kanan.
That's true. Who knows?
But Kanan's blind at this point.
That's very true.
Maybe he got a sight pack.
Who knows? Anything's possible, but I love the idea of DJ being Ezra. Like, I think, what if he's just like a rogue Jedi who just does his own thing, and he just became like this like badass who ends up helping the Resistance.
From the moment we saw Ezra, he was always kind of a rogue, and he turned his lightsaber into a gun.
Exactly.
Like, he's always been that type of character.
Maybe Pablo Hidalgo is misleading us, but usually when something's true, he just doesn't say anything about it. So who knows? But my money's on him being Ezra still. I don't care what Pablo Hidalgo
Interesting.
says.
That we'll leave that for another day. But for me, there's another. I'm taking the obvious route. I just think it means Rey.
Okay.
I think that they're gonna still play on the Star Wars mythology, and it's not Leia, but it's Rey. I think she could actually be the ultimate chosen one. Because Luke, quote unquote, failed per se. I guess you could say.
I hope so. I'm cool with that, honestly.
And people are saying, "Oh, she's gonna turn bad. She's gonna turn bad. We're gonna see another Jedi turn bad." I don't think so. Like, why does every Jedi that's good have to turn bad?
Yeah.
Why does every powerful Jedi have to be tempted by the dark side? We've already seen her, in the novel.
It makes sense. Yeah. But I don't think she's gonna go dark side.
In the novel, she heard voices in the Star Wars: The Force Awakens novel. That's obviously Luke heard the voices and was tempted in the original trilogy. I think she'll be tempted, but I don't think she'll be anywhere near pulled. I think she'll just be an all-powerful Jedi, and Kylo will be tempted and pulled even darker down the path of the dark side. And because we've never seen that before, we've never seen someone go extremely dark and never be tempted by the dark or light. Anakin, yes, he went Darth Vader, but he was tempted by the light side towards the end of the movies.
Even we find out in canon that throughout being Vader, his whole time he thinks about his past all the time and is always conflicted by that. Maybe Kylo's always going to struggle, but maybe he just ends up going full dark side,
which would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I want to see some Force lightning. Let's go.
All right, well, moving on, stepping away from The Last Jedi for a little bit, we got some Han Solo news. Weeks back, we heard that Michael Kenneth Williams dropped out of the Han Solo movie because of scheduling conflicts, and we actually heard that it was actually true scheduling conflicts.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And it's just been announced that Paul Bettany, who's best known as Jarvis in the Avenger movies and now Vision, he has stepped in that exact role for the Ron Howard Han Solo film. We don't know to what extent how big the role is, but it sounds like with reshoots it was going to be pretty extensive. Do you like Paul Bettany stepping in Michael K. Williams' shoes, or would you rather see someone else maybe of the same color step in his shoes?
Here's the thing. We don't know who the character is. We don't know if the color of the character is really significant or not. My first choice would have just to be leave Michael K. Williams and have him come in and do the reshoots.
He's an awesome actor.
I'm not familiar with his work, I'm not going to lie, but we always are talking about diversity in Hollywood and films and Star Wars, and it just would have been a real nice touch because look, we have Emilia Clarke, Woody Harrelson, Alden Ehrenreich. They're all white actors, and I'm not big to where like everybody has to be diverse, but you already had this African American actor in there, so try to make it work, but they couldn't make it work, which is fine. And as long as him being African American isn't essential to the character, I'm fine with them bringing in Paul Bettany. I heard it was a alien/human character.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
So then it wouldn't really matter.
Yeah.
What?
Especially they changed Kenneth Williams' skin
Also,
tone
we've
anyway.
seen the picture that Ron Howard posted with Paul Bettany and what he was wearing.
It looked like he wasn't wearing any kind of alien stuff.
Yeah. So maybe that was just him showing up to set before putting on makeup and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I'm cool. I like Paul Bettany. If the news was just Paul Bettany in the Han Solo movie, great. But I'm a little upset that it's Michael K. Williams kind of lost that role. But maybe he'll get another role in the future. There's always new movies being made. There's always anthology films. So hopefully he'll get to come back because I'm sure he loves Star Wars.
Well, when it was announced that he was stepping down from the film, he did this big long quote or whatever, and he said, "I'm not against coming back to Lucasfilm. They've been great to me."
Because I can imagine how much it would suck to be like, yes, I'm in a Star Wars movie, and then now I'm not.
Yes.
So I'm hope they would bring him back in something.
No, I agree. I think that Michael Kenneth Williams, first of all, is a fantastic actor. Everything he does, whether small or big, he is awesome. I was also bummed that see him kind of step down from the movie, but I understand why.
Yeah,
he just had prior.
It's not a big deal. I don't think it's the drama with the Han Solo movie.
No,
not
at all.
Ron Howard just decided, you know what, I don't want this guy in my movie. I don't think it's that at all.
Well, and he had said in that quote that he revealed, it said it's massive reshoots. You just can't commit to that.
This movie is
it's a whole new movie.
So much.
It's a whole new movie with Ron Howard.
Yeah.
The Paul Bettany thing makes sense. Paul Bettany is a Ron Howard. He's a vet. He's in a lot of Ron Howard's films.
Friends, right?
Yeah, and they're always work together, so it makes sense. And Paul Bettany's been with Marvel for a long time, and Marvel is owned by Disney.
So it all works.
So it works out. It makes sense. I'm all for it, although I would have liked Michael K. Williams in the role. I'm totally cool with Paul Bettany.
Yeah, not a bad choice at all.
All right, let's talk some Rebels. I just got done watching the brand new trailer. That's right now. I literally just watched it. The brand new trailer for Star Wars Rebels, the animated TV show, Season 4, the final season. Jacob watched it a few days ago. I'm loving what I'm seeing from this trailer.
It a lot.
I'm loving the gritty tone that's going on. It's much more darker, much more action oriented. There's some things that are coming together that we were waiting for over the past couple seasons. Some highlights for you. I mean, what were some of the biggest moments from this trailer you enjoyed?
I just like how it's focusing on the crew, like Kanan, Ezra, Hera, Sabine. Because look, I love all the tie-ins with Darth Maul and Obi-Wan, everything that was going on with all that stuff. That was amazing, and it just wrapped up everything that happened in the past so well as telling these new character stories. But now with Season 4 being the last season, you have to focus on these characters and tell their story. Because remember, was it the Season 2 or Season 3 Midway trailer, the one that had the Darth Maul in it?
We got pumped about.
Yeah, and that was crazy because it was Maul, I think
he was in it for one episode.
Yeah, so that was great. But the show's about these characters. So the thing I take away from the most is that it's honing in on that. Also, there is the little outside stuff though, like the Tarkin and the Saw Gerrera. We all are assuming that we're going to get an episode what happened in Rogue One. That's what I want.
I hope so.
And I don't necessarily want these characters to die in that battle. Maybe a few of them will already be dead by then or afterwards. But man, and also they're teasing Ezra with the dark side again. I don't know if he's going dark side or not. Something bad's gonna happen, and I'm not looking forward to it. But hey, it has to go down.
Yeah, they already said that it's not gonna end well. It's not gonna end well. It's because it can't. It can't end well. We know that going in, that this ends where the Empire's at its strongest.
Yes.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
And the Rebel Alliance is at a very tough spot when we see the original trilogy, and this takes place before that. And so it's a dark place for the galaxy. And the thing that stands out for me, one of them is the Ezra stuff. Obviously, are we going to finally get an answer as to whether he goes dark or he stays good? Is he going to fight Kanan? If so, that's going to be absolutely nuts. Another Master Padawan battle going on.
Right? That's crazy.
The stuff with the wolves, the Lothal wolves or whatever they're called. The Sabine stuff is really interesting as well, because I know that I've read some stuff, some theories going around that her symbol was actually showed up in Rogue One on some helmets.
Really?
Like on some fighter squadron helmets. And so that will be very interesting to see where she ends up once this season is over. Obviously, the stuff with the Empire, you got Thrawn in there. Is he going to die? Is he going to continue on and just kind of go into deep space and hide out, basically? I'm loving it. I'm so excited. I really, really enjoyed this TV show from the beginning. I'm sad that it's ending. But I know that I know that, but I also know that there's something else coming in the future, whether
for sure
something in between episodes 6 and 7 or wherever. But I can't wait to see this season go down. I cannot wait to see this season.
Funny
go down.
thing, no reference or image of Ahsoka.
Very true.
She's alive. We saw her limping in the cave, and then
do they have bigger plans?
And Dave Filoni did that thing at Star Wars Celebration where he wore Ahsoka Lives ? And then he came out with one that said Ahsoka Lives. ? I think she's going to be in the Obi-Wan movie, but we can talk about that another day. I'm serious.
I would. She's one of my favorite Star Wars characters, period. So,
really quickly, we can do like a whole video on this, but really quickly, look, everyone's saying that, or people are predicting that Vader could potentially be the villain in the Obi-Wan movie, that it's possible they could play with the words that happened in A New Hope. So Ahsoka fought Vader. What if Ahsoka seeks out Obi-Wan, says, Obi-Wan, Vader's still alive. Anakin's still alive. We gotta go take him out. That's the Obi-Wan movie.
I would be so effing
And then you get them trying to take him on, and then it's pretty close to Revenge of the Sith still. So in a sense, Obi-Wan could still be the master and Anakin the learner. Still.
Ahsoka would have to die if that's the case.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
To.
In this movie that I'm pitching, Ahsoka dies. She sacrifices herself.
And that's what puts Obi-Wan in full hideout.
Exactly. He's like, it's done. There's nothing I can do. I just have to go hide out and protect Luke.
I hope they have big plans for her.
Think about
she's alive.
Isn't that the best possible way for her to
put her in live action?
Exactly.
Hell yes.
Look, let's be real. An Ahsoka movie is not going to do that well. Just a plain Ahsoka movie.
People won't know who she is.
Exactly. But people are going to go see that Obi-Wan movie no matter what. It's the perfect way to have her go out on top.
God.
We should do a whole video about that.
I'm so down. Padawan Anthology's coming soon, I promise. Let's move on away from the Rebels trailer. Let's get into some books. We got a little Tarkin stuff to talk about, as well as some Mace Windu. We're going to do non-spoiler. We're not going to touch on anything big. Just a little summary. Jacob and I are both reading Tarkin. You actually finished.
I just finished it the other day.
I have probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours left, so I'm not going to be able to touch on the ending. But why don't you go ahead and start off since you finished it. Some things you liked, how it started for you, how it ended. Would you recommend it?
All right, so I have a like-dislike relationship with this book. I don't want to say love-hate. Well, I'll say love-dislike relationship with this book because there's things in here that I love, but there's also things that I dislike. When it first started out, it was so many details and so dense, and I was like, what is going on? But like a couple chapters in, when they started telling Tarkin's backstory, his childhood, the way he grew up, I loved all of that. It's amazing. It makes sense because you just think he's this frail old man. But no, he's not.
He's a badass.
There are certain things, and we'll do a full spoilers review once a few of us finish this book.
Keith will be on that as well.
Yeah, we'll do me, you, Keith, if we can. And we can talk about all the details. But Tarkin is no wimp. He's a badass, and you learn that in this book. You learn all the details, where he came from, how he got into politics, his relationship with the Emperor, his relationship with Vader, his interactions with certain characters from the prequel era. And there's so many things spoilery I want to talk. But then after that, once it gets into what the modern, what's happening in
the
modern
present day in the book, yeah.
I didn't love the story, what the mission is, what they're doing in the book. I was like, come on, let's get over this. But then near the end, you get back to where you're learning all these little details about canon, and you understand why Vader and Tarkin have a respect for each other and understanding. Because you would think, right, in A New Hope, when Tarkin tells him to stop choking that guy out, you're like, why would Vader listen to Tarkin? Why would he care what Tarkin thinks? The book, it doesn't tell you why, but through listening or reading to this book, you understand why. So by the end of this book, I really, really like most of it, and yeah, I do recommend it if you're a hardcore Star Wars fan, because you learn so much, not only about Tarkin, but about Vader and their relationship, and it sets up A New Hope. It makes A New Hope a better movie to me, honestly.
Interesting. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm gonna say I recommend it as well. One, because it's not your typical Star Wars book.
Exactly. Yeah, it's different. It's
No,
very
like
different.
yes, Vader's in there, but it's not focused on a Force user. It's
Yeah.
not focused on any major character that we really know. But I will say that there was a big chunk of this book that I was flat out bored.
Oh
with.
yeah, big
Bored.
chunk.
And it was much of the beginning. What you had talked about his Empire origin, you can say, of how he got into where he is now, as far as being a Moth and a Grand
Oh,
Moth.
yeah.
That stuff is really, really good. The stuff with Vader is good. I haven't been able to get to the ending yet, so I don't know if I exactly know what you're talking about. I know I've
Well,
heard
it's
Keith-
peppered throughout the whole book, though. But believe me, by the time you finish this book, you're gonna like it even more.
I've heard Keith talk about the ending, and he seems really, really pumped
Yeah.
about it. So I'm looking forward to
Good.
listening to that. I do recommend it though because, like I said, it's something different. And Tarkin is, even though he was only in one movie, he's a very big character.
Oh yeah,
Big
He has a
character.
I mean, he's in Rogue One also.
He is in Rogue One. Yes, they brought him back, but he's a big character. He had a huge impact. He was running the Empire basically.
He
for
was
the
in the
Emperor.
Clone Wars series, right? Did he
Yes,
have?
but he was on the Rebel side.
Yes.
He was running his own ship.
Well, because because he was on
Yes.
the side because we
Yeah.
thought the Emperor was on, or Palpatine was on the good side back then. You know?
Anakin and Obi-Wan saved him from a crash landing or something like
Yeah.
that.
So no spoilers, but you hear references to that stuff.
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
it's definitely an interesting book. It's an interesting read. Just expect going in that's not going to have all the action and everything. It's a lot of back and
Yeah,
forth.
not every book has to be
No,
that.
not at all. Not at all. It's not, Anakin
But
Skywalker
be
fights or
patient with
something.
this book. Like, get through the boring parts, and
Yeah.
you'll be satisfied.
Yeah, so with that, we're going to move on to Mace Windu, the most recent comic run from Marvel, the Star Wars. Marvel's been doing these 5-issue Star Wars runs. They did, they did Poe, they did Leia,
They did Han Solo.
Han Solo, which we did. Now they're on Mace Windu, the Samuel L. Jackson character
Yeah.
from the prequels. I have not been able to read the first issue. Jacob has. He's going to do a little quick non-spoiler issue. He did do a full spoiler breakdown, which is on the channel, so check that out after this. But go ahead and take it away, man.
Yeah, so basically the setup of this is it takes place after the Battle of Geonosis, after Attack of the Clones, and that's a big chunk of time.
Yes.
And you find out you don't know what everything that he's been doing, but it's a little side story about a mission that Mace Windu has to go on, and he's working with some other Jedis, and he has to go to this planet to stop this separatist camp that's going on there. And it's really cool because you get to get in his head a little bit. There's this ongoing theme in the comic, and I'm assuming it's going to be throughout the whole run, that what is the Jedi's place in this war? Because they're not supposed to be fighting wars.
They're peacekeepers.
They're peacekeepers. They're supposed to keep the peace. What did I say? Peace the keep?
Peace the
Yep,
keep.
that's the new thing. Peace the keep. Yeah, so but the thing is, they're such powerful warriors. And you kind of figure out some Jedi are for this, some Jedi are against it, and it's really cool. And there's kind of a cliffhanger at the end of the book, and it's really cool. So definitely check out Mace Windu #1, especially if you're a fan of the prequel era. I love prequel era stuff, especially now that we can go back and tell some good stories in the prequel era if we want.
They're better quality now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and that era is really, like, I love Clone Wars, the show.
There's so much stuff to be fleshed out from
There's
there.
so much great stuff. So definitely recommend Mace Windu #1.
Yeah, and we'll be doing 2, 3, 4, and 5 again. It's a 5-issue run. So.
I'm gonna do the spoiler breakdowns. Maybe once you catch up, you can get on those with me. But go check out my spoiler breakdown. I do it for about 7 minutes or so. I break down the whole issue. If you just want to listen to that, so go ahead.
Yeah, so you mentioned peacekeeping, I should say, and a Jedi, not warriors, but there's a specific type of Jedi that we're going to get into or address the Academy here.
Oh, nice
We're talking
segue.
about,
Nice segue.
Talking about Luke Skywalker here, and there's a specific type of Jedi, a vow that they take to step away from the original Jedi Order. It's called the Barash Vow. It was touched on in the Darth Vader comic run they did, which we reviewed. You can check that out as well. But basically, the Barash Vow is they stay away from Jedi affairs. They're not in the Order. They don't go by their rules, and they're pretty much fighters. That's basically what they are. They're isolated by themselves. They're fighters. Is it possible that Luke Skywalker has taken the Barash Vow? Now, this vow has been touched on a few times in the most recent canon stuff. It's kind of been picking up steam a little bit as of late. We see Luke on an island by himself. He has some creatures that he's with, and he has a lot of Jedi books inside a cave that he's been studying and reading. Could he have come across this vow? Maybe not the specific Jedi that we met in the Darth Vader run, but this vow that maybe turned his head and be like, look, the old Jedi way, doesn't work anymore, so he had to change the game maybe. What are your thoughts on Luke Skywalker possibly taking the Barash Vow?
All right, so if I'm not mistaken, we don't know that Luke knows what the Barash Vow
Yes.
is, right?
Nope.
So if we knew that he knew what it was, like if he mentioned it in, Return of the Jedi or something like that, then I would say absolutely 100% yes. But we don't know if he knows what it is yet. But we know there's 30 years in between
Yes.
6 and 7. So he has plenty of time to figure that out. And we know he's been studying, finding the Jedi
he's at
temples,
the first Jedi temple
and like
ever.
reading books and stuff like that. So I'm assuming that he's gonna learn a lot through that. And there is a character in the Vader comics that is
his name.
associated. Yeah, I forget it too.
He's a total
but,
badass.
Yeah, he's a Jedi. And that's not wrapped up yet. We still got issue 5 coming out tomorrow, and so I'll do a spoiler review on that as well. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and say yes, because if not something very similar,
Like a gray Jedi.
if not exactly the Barash Vow, I think he's going to separate himself from the way that Jedi used to associate with the Jedi Order and stuff like that. And also, I don't think there's any way that Luke doesn't go 30 years without a lover. Look, I don't think that Rey is his daughter. I don't. But think about this. What if he has a kid somewhere, and we don't even meet that kid till like episode 10, which is very possible. Who knows? Because, or whatever. But anyways, Luke was thirsty in A New Hope. He was desperate. He wanted Leia, even though he didn't know it was his sister. So, he went out and got some girls. Especially he's a Jedi now. He saved the galaxy. Come on.
Well, he's got the popular status, that's
Exactly.
for sure.
So there's no way he's not getting some.
Well, and we know that as of the last couple of years, Lucasfilm and Disney, they've been pulling from the Legends stuff.
Exactly.
Which is now
and
non-canon.
He did have kids.
He had kids in the
yeah.
Legends. He had a wife, Mara Jade, which we don't know if she'll show up. I mean, that'd be freaking awesome, but that won't happen. But they're pulling from old canon, and Luke in those stories had children.
Dude, I just thought of something. I hope it's not true. What if his children were at the academy that Kylo Ren slaughtered? And what if Kylo Ren slaughtered his kids?
Like,
That's
what
a
if-
possibility.
what if-
That would be so dark.
What if Rey was a friend of her kid?
Yeah, or just one of the kids. I think Rey's either related to Obi-Wan or just one of the kids
knows Luke.
was just a kid at the academy, and she was probably the most powerful one. I would assume so.
That never even crossed my mind.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think so, because that's really dark. Like,
Rian Johnson's gone there.
I think Luke would have went after Kylo a long time ago if that was the case. But maybe he can't take on Snoke and Kylo by himself,
He's too
And
frail.
now with Rey, he's ready to go. So
yeah, no, it's
I think
highly
it's a possibility.
possible.
But I think you think he took the Barash Vow, right?
I do think he took the Barash Vow. I think that if it's not the Barash Vow, it's a twist on it, and it's another term called the Grey Jedi.
There you go. Yeah.
The Grey Jedi, which basically the Grey Jedi, they balance between the both light and the dark. They use whichever they need to get what they need. Basically, they're basically a bounty hunter Jedi. That's pretty much what they can be termed as. I think it's highly possible, and it off the line of the trailer, the Jedi must die.
Yeah.
And I don't think he necessarily means the Jedi. I just think he means the old way of the Jedi.
Well, look
Obi-Wan
what happens
Kenobi.
every time you try to force somebody to follow these rules of the Jedi. They go bad.
They die. They
Yeah.
die. Everyone
Well,
dies.
everyone dies, or they
Everyone
turn to the
dies.
dark side.
Yes, and
So
so it's highly possible that Luke has just pretty much he spent these 15 years by himself figuring out, okay, this doesn't work anymore. There's something new has to happen if the light is going to rise back up. And just from teases in The Force Awakens, Rey's not your typical Jedi either. She's not all holy and stuff. She
No,
has
not
a
at
dark
all.
side to
yeah,
her.
we saw it in The Force Awakens.
She was left on a planet by herself. She was alone. I think it's extremely possible that we either see the Barash Vow or a twist on it, and it could be a Grey Jedi turn.
Definitely. I think we'll introduce to something like that.
And if that happens, that would open up an entire new world of Star Wars.
Definitely.
Which
'cause
would
then
be
you could
very fun.
tell other stories about
Yeah,
that.
that would
in
be
the future,
so
the past,
fun.
whatever.
Like imagine a violent Jedi like Rey, just being violent.
Yeah, I
Dude.
mean, that would be awesome.
That would be absolutely crazy. So that's gonna wrap up our Padawan podcast today. Jacob, I can't thank you enough for joining me.
Of
Love
course,
talking all this
always.
stuff. We're definitely gonna keep on this for every other week here on Apocalypse Movies. Star Wars: The Last Jedi is very, very close, so there's things coming out like crazy. Empire Magazine has their spread
plenty
out.
of canon stuff to
Yes,
cover.
and Empire Magazine has their spread out currently, so there could be a whole bunch of new stuff coming out this week, which would bring us back for the other Padawan spinoffs. But until then, Jacob, let them know where they can find you online, man.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at @JacobBartley_. Of course, on this YouTube channel, getting on reviews, videos, podcasts. We do it all.
Yeah, and make sure you check us out on iTunes. We are now on iTunes. All of our stuff is free. You can listen to our audios there, all of our big shows and movie reviews. Make sure you check those out. You can find me, Jake Boone, on Qui-Gon Jake at Twitter and Instagram, apocalypsemovies.com every day. And yes, just like Jacob said, make sure you check out this YouTube channel. Give us a share, like, subscribe, comment. We're always down to talk Star Wars, as well as even a little pointers here and there. What do we do something that you like, maybe that we didn't like? Give us some pointers. We're always welcome to it. Until next time, may the Force be with you.